movie right now. Why are you watching anime?
This is Flashpoint, the animated movie that this movie storyline did.
Oh.
I was curious. I was trying to remember how, because they did a similar scene, so I was trying to
Okay,
remember how it went in the animated
I haven't
version.
seen it, so you'll be the expert today.
Yes, I've both read and seen it, but it's been a while.
I can't get a good angle.
Well, I was pleasantly surprised. Well, not surprised, but some surprised.
Fuck it.
Well, that was a movie.
Hello, welcome back to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon, this is Justin, and we just saw The Flash, which was written and directed by... Actually, I shouldn't say it was written and directed. I don't know if it was written by him. I shouldn't say things I don't know. Yeah, he had nothing to do with the writing process. Hello, welcome back to Simon's Rants. Hello, welcome back to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon, this is Justin, and we just saw The Flash, which was directed by Andy Muschietti, and is starring Ezra Miller, Michael Keaton, and some other people. Do you wanna start this one off? How did you feel about it? How did you feel?
So I had heard going in that this was the best film of the DCEU.
Yes.
Which as far as
Would be a
I've
shame,
heard,
frankly, because it's the end of the DCEU. But yeah.
yeah, that's fair. But and as far as I've heard from the DCEU, it does not include Joker or the Batman movies.
Right.
So,
or the Suicide Squad. That was DCU, I think. Was it not the second Suicide Squad?
Probably. I mean, it was
DCU.
James Gunn.
Yeah.
But yeah, of those films, this was definitely my favorite so far. Well, I mean, I guess they're dead, so yeah. This was definitely my favorite. I don't know if he'll get a trilogy if he can stay out of trouble or doesn't go to prison for the current trouble.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Ezra Miller's coming back.
I don't think they want him to, but if this makes a lot of money, they might change their mind.
I'll agree with the premise of that's what I heard coming into this movie. This movie made me miss Zack Snyder. I hated this movie. I really did. Okay, I will
This will be fun.
amend that by saying the last 15 minutes of this movie, they were like, hey, wait, it's a good movie now. Where did that come from? I don't know. Up until that point, the movie to me was laughably bad. And then the last 15, 20 minutes was a good movie.
Okay,
Sort of, mostly. There was still some time travel bullshit that was very bullshitty, but other than that, like
I'll be very interested to hear about this time travel bullshitty and whether I'm just prepped to that because I've
You're
read
just used to
Flashpoints
it. Yeah.
and watched it too.
Okay, so as somebody who knows more about Flashpoint than I do, I know very little other than the obvious stuff. Would you say it was accurate to the story?
I would say it's as accurate as they could. They picked out the most important elements from Flashpoint and told a new story with them, and I'm glad in the way they did it because they could have.
So it's a
went
different
bad.
story, right? It is. It's just
with the
same
main,
elements.
the same main elements, but yes, it's a very different story.
I did, as somebody who knows very little but has seen a lot of visuals and am aware of comics, they did also steal, like, visuals. Like, when he first starts going back, like, the way his face stretched was stolen from the comics.
Yeah.
Maybe even the cartoon. I didn't see the cartoon, but
I
they
don't
were
remember how
borrowing
it
things.
worked in the cartoon. It was a little closer to the TV show at times, but then I don't want to get like too spoilery.
Right, we'll get into
it,
spoilers
but,
later.
Yeah, no, it kind of reminded me some of the comics in a way.
As far as not getting into spoilers, there's very little, like, I mean, obviously you can tell based on the trailers that this is like a fan servicey movie, and unfortunately they give away most of it in the trailers. There's definitely some nuggets there for the fans that I was like, oh, look, there's that. In fact, my favorite thing in the whole movie was something that wasn't even alluded to in the trailers. But, I mean, like, Michael Keaton, you saw him in the very first trailer. That's kind of disappointing because imagine how cool that reveal could have been.
See, but I knew about that a long time ago when it was first like rumored and such, so it was never going to be a surprise for me. So I'm all right with it.
Right.
But keep going, sorry.
Or even with having, like, Supergirl instead of Superman could have been an interesting plot twist.
Yeah.
It's like you just knew the whole time, oh, it's going to be her instead. And when they start talking about trying to find Superman, you're like, well, you're not gonna find him. Sorry.
Yeah.
I know all time travel movies don't make sense. This one really didn't.
They went above and beyond with the time travel logic.
Yeah.
It was definitely some advanced logic I have not seen before.
Right, and they say it in like a condescending way so you won't think about it. Because they're like, you've probably heard this is how it works. Well, you're a moron. This is how it really works. And then you're going, but wait, why? And so, like, Batman, of all people, is giving the time travel analogy because, like, you know, Batman knows about time travel, I guess. And he's like, well, you see, time travel's like spaghetti. And
He's smart.
you think...
That's why he knows.
And you think when you change something, it breaks and fractures and goes in different directions. But that's not true. It changes the past, too. Why? What? Why would...
Because then it makes it easier to have Michael Keaton step into the role as old Batman.
Okay, but think about it logically. If something you do in the past changes the past,
I know.
then something I would do right now would also change the past. Because that's how it works.
It was funny.
That doesn't make any goddamn sense. It's like, so everything you would do throughout time would affect both the future and the past? I guess this is light spoilers. We're in light spoilers right now, but like that is pretty early on that they talk about this.
It's only when you time travel that when you affect things in that present, then things can affect both the future and the past.
No, stupid. And I know, like I said, that's kind of like, that's spoiler light. Trust me, it gets way more in depth than this. We're barely scratching the surface. This is stuff that's talked about in the first half hour-ish of the movie, so don't be too worried. But, like, what? Huh? Also, I will say, there was a lot of, like, cool ideas in this movie. A lot of cool visuals that they were going for, but the CGI was so goddamn bad. I know, every time you see CGI, there's a certain level of suspension of belief that you have to have. Like I've talked about recently on the channel, Gollum. I don't actually think Gollum looks real, but he looks good enough that you're like, okay, I can accept that, I can rock with it.
Fair.
These babies, man.
Oh God, the
babies. Oh, the baby.
The baby scene was hilarious.
But not intentionally, I don't think. Some of it was intentional humor.
Yeah.
But my God, that was one of the worst superhero scenes I've ever seen.
It went on for way too long.
And it was so bad. So I don't know why, but the Flash has like a watch that tells him how much energy he has.
He burns through his calories incredibly fast, so he needs to constantly eat.
I get that. When I get hungry, I eat. I don't check my watch.
But he does it at a very, very accelerated pace. All right, he's gonna eat quite often. In some versions, he carries snacks on his wrist.
Sure, okay.
Those are the smart versions.
So he checks his watch and he's like, I've only got enough power for one movie here. I'm gonna break in to the vending machine and eat all that.
I knew he was gonna find food as soon as he looked at it.
Oh, like, I mean, I get it. Yes, logically speaking, that kind of thing has to happen every once in a while, but it's hilarious, dude.
I gotta say, original. I'm not like a Flash connoisseur or anything. I've seen him in Justice League Unlimited. You know, I watched some of the live action TV show. I've seen some of the animated movies. I read some of the comics from various years, but I read some of the original Flash comics. It's super campy. I can see that stuff happening there.
So is Batman.
I know.
The original Batman's super campy. He's not campy now.
It just feels like that.
Except for, I guess, some of the Batman stuff in this was campy.
No, the
whole movie was campy.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah.
But after the turn of the century, we've made Batman so dark it's hard to get him campy in live action anymore.
Yeah, I felt like
Ben was the closest until this. Yeah.
Right. It is interesting though that I feel like every time there's a movie centered around like a main character superhero, every other superhero that is in that movie kind of takes on their level of camp or their personality in a way. You know, Batman is a lot darker and more serious in Batman versus Superman than he is in like the Justice League. And because the Justice League has a little bit more camp to it, a little bit more lightness to it. And I feel like we get that where like, or in like Thor Ragnarok, when Guardians of the Galaxy were in Thor Ragnarok, they kind of took on the Thor Ragnarok, or not Ragnarok, Love and Thunder. They took on that Taika Waititi flair, which didn't work. And
No.
so in this, it was like everybody kind of had that like Flash cheesiness in it.
They do it a little bit more in the movies, but that's I feel like that's usually how it happens in a lot of the team up stuff. Like after a
Yeah.
while, Batman starts to lighten up around the Justice League.
The action was really lame in this movie. Like, there's this big fight scene at the end that's supposed to have, like, an army. Like, it involves an army in the desert. And every time we got, like, this sweeping shot of stuff happening, it'd be like, there's, like, oh, one helicopter. And they're like, oh, there's 2 soldiers walking there. I was like, it's all CGI, so it's not like a budget thing. Like, you can put as many people there as you want, because
Hey.
none of them are real.
Hey, we can't delay Flash anymore. All right, we got to put this out and move on.
Wasn't this movie delayed by like 3 years? Why was the
pretty
CGI
sure.
so bad? They had years to work on the CGI.
It's time
man.
to move on. It's
It
time to
was
move on.
terrible. It's like the worst CGI we've had in a superhero movie since like freaking Spawn. Like, this was bad. This was really legitimately terrible CGI. I know people love to complain about CGI, me included. This was worse than usual. It really was.
The action wasn't the best at
Boring.
all. Yeah, it was pretty boring. It's like the Flash's action is never really that amazing. And of course, he can do a lot cooler stuff, running around, making tornadoes, doing things when he's animated.
Sure.
He's really limited in live action, and
Yeah.
he's still pretty limited here.
And unsurprisingly, they took the comedy route in almost everything.
Yeah,
So even
kinda
when
did.
there were some somewhat interesting or cool things happening, they were mostly for comedic effect rather than actual serious impact.
He's the lightheartedness of the DCEU.
Sure.
Batman was killing people in his movie, not this one.
I mean, he kind of did. He was throwing people out of cars and shit. He blew up a tanker, an oil tanker. He just straight up fucking blew up for no goddamn reason. It's like, poor guy, you just killed that man. That innocent man.
Yeah, I forgot there was someone in that one. But he didn't do it for no reason, okay?
It would have taken him 1 second longer to go.
Whoa. He had a really cool jump off, all right? Into the air. He spread his wings a little bit, I think.
So dumb. So dumb.
It was for dramatic effect. That guy died for a purpose. We salute him. Thank you for your service.
There's so many spoiler things. Oh god. So many
There's way
spoiler
much
things
more
that
to
I
talk
wanna
about spoiler.
about.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just sum up with I didn't like it. But like I said, there was about 15 to 20 minutes at the end there that was actually good. Because I was checking my watch. I know you looked over at me when I was checking my watch because I was like,
I did too, because I just wasn't sure how it was going to wrap up so quickly. But it did.
yeah, it did wrap up rapidly.
Yeah, no, very much.
Which is unfortunate because it really could have used another half hour talking about that, I thought. Because it was starting to get into good stuff, and then you're like, oh, but we're doing it really fast? That's a shame.
We're not allowed to make this a 3-hour movie.
Yeah, it could have been. Or we could have just cut out some other pointless shit. Then again, it's not like we really lingered on anything. So it wasn't that it was too long. It's just the good part was too short. Anyway, I think I'm going to give it a 5. It certainly wasn't good. But like I said, that last little section made it like not a waste of time to have seen it. But I'll never watch it again. I won't. I will not. I refuse. Except for maybe to like review it because there was some really funny spit takes that happened in this movie.
I will definitely see it again because I have other friends who definitely want to see this.
You have friends?
I do.
God
Just
damn.
a few. But
What's that like?
But yes, I enjoyed this rendition of Flashpoint for what they could do and not completely kill it. And I'd give it like a 7. It was solid. I'd give it the best of the DCUU, which is not saying much. I don't want to. It's not saying much.
I would not. And that's coming from somebody who genuinely dislikes most of the DCEU. I'm not a DCU fanboy.
Wait.
What?
Wonder Woman and Aquaman and all of them are in this too, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh crap.
Yeah.
All right, I might take that back.
Thank you.
I might have been excluding some movies there.
Yeah, I
thinking
was gonna
about
say.
thinking about Batman v Superman and Justice League, and it's definitely better than those. You like the Zack Snyder side of the DCEU
Not anymore.
more than I did, and
Sure.
most people did. And I feel like this is very anti that.
I would
It's
I wouldn't say more than most people. I would say that I agree with the general consensus. Let's check the ratings because I'm curious now. Keep going with your thought.
well, original version, because I remember you saying that when the original version was out, before
Yeah.
the 4-parter was out.
Batman
Or
versus
5. Was it 7-parter? Crap.
What are we talking about? Justice League.
Yeah.
It was 4 parts.
No, yeah, 4 parts, but I'm talking the original, because you said...
Ultimate Edition has a 7.2 and I gave it a 7.
Yeah, but what did you give the original? Because you were talking about the original when you were talking how good it
I
was.
gave it a 6 and it's got a 6. I agree with the general consensus, I feel like. Not critics.
Okay, honestly, I thought back then you gave it a higher rating than I thought you did.
No, I actually didn't see the original version until after I saw the Ultimate Edition. So I think you thought I was talking about the original, but I was talking about the Ultimate Edition. This is Batman vs Superman, not Justice League, though.
Oh wait, were we talking about Batman vs Superman then?
I talked about that because
Yeah, no.
I
Okay,
infamously,
that's the one you were talking
I
about.
infamously like Batman vs Superman more than Justice
No,
League, which
that's
is an
the-
uncommon opinion.
Yeah, no, that I screwed up.
Actually,
That's
maybe
the one
it's
you were
not.
talking
Let me
about.
double check that. So
Yeah, no, I screwed
it
up.
is an
People.
unpopular opinion. So I hate Zack Snyder's. I gave it a 5. It has an 8.
Yeah.
I never saw. God damn it! I never saw Joss Whedon's all the way through. I've just seen clips, and I gave it a 2 based on the clips I've seen as a 6. So no, I don't like Zack Snyder's stuff more than the general public.
Well, I screwed
don't.
up. It was definitely Batman vs Superman.
Yeah, I defend that movie because it was like a meme to make fun of it. But I think that was like mainly online culture that hated that movie. If you talk to people offline, a lot of people actually enjoyed it. At least the Ultimate Edition. The theatrical version was very mediocre because they just cut out shit that explained everything that was happening.
Yeah. I think the extended version helps it some. I still don't like it a whole
Yeah,
lot.
there's still a lot of problems. Lex Luthor was horribly miscast.
Yeah.
Doomsday was horribly underutilized. Yeah.
And I like this more. I do. It may not have the best action. All right.
Absolutely not.
I was
sorry.
very worried how they're gonna pull off the Flashpoint storyline, and I have to say, I thought it was a solid rendition of it. For what they had to cut out, because it would have never worked at all, just absolutely not. Way too early for all that material. They did pretty all right. Ezra Miller's fine. I prefer him as the younger one, honestly.
The more annoying one.
Yeah, I prefer him as the more hyperactive, annoying one. I can't really. I don't know what it is. I'm just not really liking the serious Ezra Miller. Just never.
I mean, I don't think Ezra's a very good actor in general. Just completely removing art from artists. Like, I'm not saying this because of criminal history or anything.
No.
I never
Go on about
I
that.
never personally liked this version of Barry Allen.
Yeah.
So I also don't find the humor of it very funny. So I was indifferent to either one. I don't know. I was just. What this movie really made me think about was like, I just want Tim Burton to come back and make another Batman movie. That's what
gosh.
this made me think.
Gosh, that would be amazing.
Or terrible, but I would like to see an attempt be made, and not have Michael Keaton be fucking Robin Williams from Jumanji. Like, what was with the fucking hair and the beard? Like, what? I know Bruce Wayne became
he was
a recluse,
retired.
but like, what? Yeah, have you seen Batman Beyond?
Yes.
He was retired. He looked dignified.
He did have his cane.
He wasn't
his
fucking
ace.
stuck in Jumanji for 20 years. Anyway.
Hey, he wasn't home all the time. He just shaved, got haircuts. I don't know who from. Maybe he just made a machine.
Maybe Alfred is his barber, and once he died, he was like, "Oh, never."
Oh
cut
no,
my hair
I
again."
absolutely assume that. But maybe the Batman Beyond one built a machine that cuts his hair for him.
Yeah.
Or maybe
The
Dick
year
does it.
2020 looked a lot more futuristic back then. I think that's when it takes place.
I have no
It's like
idea.
2015, 2020. All right, let's get into spoilers because we're gonna be here a while. So yeah, if you don't want anything spoiled, click away. But please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you're new here. Thanks, guys. Bye. So spoilers. Let's get into it.
Okay.
So, man. Yeah, so the time travel thing, the whole, like, moral lesson of this movie, don't change shit, right?
Yeah, that's
because if
Flashpoint.
you change shit, it will be bad.
That's Flashpoint. Yeah. Got it.
And so he goes back and undoes all his changes,
Yep.
and then changes something. he changed the placement of the can so that he would look up and see the fucking camera, and then he would be exonerated in court.
Yeah, true.
What? No. So we just defeated the whole point of the whole goddamn message of the whole fucking movie.
Which is funny, because as far as I can remember in the other versions, I could be wrong here, maybe he screws up in them too, but he goes back, actually lets the unfortunate stuff happen with his mother, and
which was great.
And stuff changes anyway as a consequence of just him even trying.
That makes sense. That makes more sense than this did.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I kind of forgot that was the purpose of the can. I saw him put it back, and then I saw the change, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
It was so close to being good for like that whole like section, because like you're like, oh wait, all of a sudden we're taking things seriously, not everything's a joke, we're actually kind of doing stuff here. The villain, although completely underutilized, was interesting. It was cool to see Reverse Flash, kind of, not really.
Yeah, I'm happy they went the way they did, because I did not know how they were gonna do actual Ebarthon.
Yeah.
With all the actual like beef they have in every media ever.
In case you haven't seen it, what they ended up doing was that the Flash from the universe he went to, where he saved the mom, he spends his entire life trying to fix the universe and becomes not Reverse Flash. I don't know if that is a character from...
Oh, it is.
Is it? Okay.
Reverse Flash.
Well, no, not Reverse Flash, but this character. I don't know. Because he's not Reverse Flash, really.
So, no, he's not that same thing. He's more like a character from... So I don't know if he's in the comics or anything, or any of the TV shows I've seen, except for he's kind of similar to the third season villain of the live-action Flash TV show.
Okay.
I think that was Savitar, and I meant to look that up when I got in. And he's just another version of Barry Allen from another timeline.
Yeah. So, regardless of if it's a character or not, it was interesting. I don't know if it was executed well, if it was a character that's already existed, but it was moderately interesting, and just like I said, underutilized. I did, like I said, enjoy concepts here. Like, they were showing all the other universes, so they had like Christopher Reeve walk in. They had Nicolas Cage from the Tim Burton Superman incredible. Movie walk in, and I was like, this is cool. Like, they showed like a 1940s version of the Flash running around. I was like, that's cool. I enjoy this concept. So for that like 20 minutes there, and he's like going back, and then he has a conversation with his mom, which was a little bit cheesy, but it was mainly poignant. Like, they were having, like, it makes you tear up a little bit, because you're like, he has to not kill her, because you wondered about that for a second, like, is he gonna actually kill her? No, he's just going to remove the can, which will then lead to what eventually, she died from somebody breaking in and killing her. And that was, I mean, it could have been better, but what we did get with that was really good. I enjoyed that moment. I enjoyed, honestly, Ezra Miller's acting in that moment was the best it was in the entire movie to me.
Fair.
And then, once again, they, like I said, he moved the can, which then changes everything, and it just went back down to being a shitty movie. Other than the brief snippet there where it's like, oh look, George Clooney, which was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed that, because you knew immediately it wasn't going to be Ben Affleck showing up. But I thought... Yeah,
no, I did not think it was going to be Ben, but I did not expect...
I thought it was going to be Michael Keaton again. And then it was George Clooney, and I was like, oh my god, that's even better. That's hilarious. I love that. He gets to redeem himself a tiny itty-bitty little bit. Not really, but we can pretend he did. But yeah, because like even when he was on the phone talking, I was like, you can tell that's not Ben Affleck on the phone.
Yeah.
I didn't know who it was. I just assumed it was Michael Keaton. But yeah, so there was that 15, maybe 20-minute section of it being like legitimately good. And I was like, awesome, cool. Now I'm feeling guilty, because the whole time I'm like, is it a 3 or is it a 4? Not quite a 2, but it's bad. And I was like, oh, I'm feeling things all of a sudden about this movie. Wow, okay. I feel guilty for hating it the whole time. But ultimately, it wasn't enough to make me like the movie. But it was good for a minute there. It was.
I think for me, I was just mostly pleasantly surprised at how they were able to handle the Flashpoint material and combine it with an alright origin story for the Flash.
Yeah, so that was interesting to me, was because you always go like, well, why are they starting with like Flashpoint is the Flash story?
No, yeah,
it's the most famous story.
I've always been saying it's a third movie storyline.
Why would you? But then because of how it played out, you got to see an origin story, and I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting because not only do you get flashbacks of the main universe Flash talking about what happened to him, but you're also getting to see a young new Flash get his powers for the first time and figure it out. So you're getting all of the elements of an origin movie anyway, despite this larger story going on. So they did that well, actually. I will give them that. They actually accomplished that decently.
Yeah. No, that kept me pretty interested. And I thought it was a well-handled way, completely leaving the comic book Reverse Flash out of it.
Yeah.
Being able to leave most of the Justice League characters who appear in the, at least animated and comic book versions of the Flashpoint storylines.
Yeah.
So they would get rid of those. And they had their cameos, which I guess will satisfy people. It really didn't matter at all.
They were terrible.
Yeah, the Wonder
Even Ben Affleck's thing felt like it was phoned in. Like, because Ben Affleck had a phoned in thing, Wonder Woman was really phoned in. Like, Gal Gadot is not a good actress to begin with, but she was terrible in this. And then Jason Momoa, it kind of was like, it felt like, because it's a post-credit scene and that's it. So it felt like, they're like, oh shit, we didn't film a post-credit scene. Who's in the studio today? All right, we do have Ezra. And oh, look, Jason's here? All right, we'll throw something together.
Yeah, Jason will come back for us. He's doing stuff.
Also, I will note both Jason and I don't know, I'm on first name basis. Jason Momoa and Ben Affleck have voices that they put on to play their characters. Neither one did in this movie. Ben Affleck was just talking like Ben Affleck, actually slightly different, but not his Batman voice. And Jason Momoa was using a voice I've never heard come out of his body before.
Yeah, no, I swear, I thought the Jason Momoa voice was fake.
I thought it was dubbed. I was like, that's not Jason.
It did not. My only guess was he's supposed to be completely hammered, and I guess that's like his hammered voice for something. It was.
He sounded so different.
I mean, it was definitely him walking around, but it did not seem like it was him
like, how
speaking.
did this happen? Like, what is going on?
It was kind of funny.
I want to also point out they had some weird logic with the Flash in this, which I guess makes sense. On he's not allowed to touch people while going super fast is the rule they came up with randomly in this movie. Yet he was, before this movie, has done it constantly, and even within this movie did it somewhat.
Yeah, so I think that could just be well, I don't want to say too much about that, but I think there could be a reason for that potentially, but I don't.
Just say it. Because I don't know what you're going to say.
Well, it's kind of spoilery.
Yeah, but if it is, we can cut it. This is edited later. You do realize that, right?
Fair enough. No, so was that his rule, or was that only for the new Flash? Maybe I missed something, but I thought he was just saying that because it was the new Flash and he doesn't know how to control his powers yet.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and hope that's what they said. I didn't hear that though. I just heard "don't do it" and was like, "What?"
Yeah, did he say that right after he touched his head or something, or
before that?
Before that?
And then that's why he did it.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "What did you do?" And he was like, "I'm sorry," and then he threw up.
But it was after he lost his powers, right?
Yeah. I mean, he lost his powers.
Yeah, no, that's why I think it's probably a new Flash thing. Because he definitely touched all those. He definitely touched all those babies in slow mo.
Yeah.
So much. He put one in a freaking microwave.
Well, yeah. Let's think about what he actually said. He was like, the clothes burned up.
Yeah, because his clothes can't stand the friction of running at that speed.
And he said, "What?" And he's like, "There's only certain things that can withstand being moved at that speed. Certain things like microwaves are fine. Humans aren't." That was the conversation. It wasn't just you right now.
Shoot, then maybe, I'm trying to think back, maybe he didn't touch those babies.
He did.
Well, he threw objects at them. Didn't he line them up too?
He used a gurney. So that is a good point. I did wonder that too. I was like, so was he not literally touching anybody? Because like you see, he just barely touches like the baby's like
onesie
or whatever. Oh. But regardless of that, he's touched people in other movies.
Yeah, no. In other explanations, I've seen like an explanation where he can, like, it's supposed to be like he's encased in this like protective field from the Speed Force, and that's why he's able to frictionlessly.
I'm just
run at
talking
certain
live
speeds,
action
and he
movies,
can.
though.
Yeah, but in live action movies, they're not going to sit there and explain all
in
that.
Justice
I just
League,
think
he caught the lady that was in the car crash. He caught her and then
Yeah.
laid her down gently, touching her head. I'm pretty sure to get like stabilize her head. So
See, I'm
he's
just
touched.
used to him touching people. That's why I just thought it
Yeah.
was a new thing. But I'm questioning myself on the babies now.
Yeah, he may. I'd have to rewatch it, and I'm not going to. He may have not actually physically touched the babies or anybody in this movie, but I know for a
At
fact
high speed.
I know for a fact though he's done it in other movies.
Also, it was really lucky that in an entire wing of the building there was just the babies and that woman.
We don't know that. That's just the only people we saw. Maybe
Also,
the rest of them died.
At the very end, doesn't he grab the dog? I don't know if you were paying attention at the end credit at the.
I watched part of it. I didn't see
But
him grab
the dog's floating the whole time. They're just doing gags with the dog. I'm
I
pretty
did
sure
notice
he reaches
though.
up and grabs the
I
dog.
did notice though in the actual beginning scene though they don't show him moving the dog because it shows him with the gurney
'cause the dog was
and
like
the
the last thing it
microwave,
seemed.
and then all of a sudden when it goes back to normal speed, the dog is on top of the microwave, but it never showed him put it there. And I was like, what the fuck? How'd the dog get there? He didn't do that. Also, did he grab the lady? Because he saved the lady, the nurse.
He had to have done something to save her.
Something. I don't
can't
remember what.
he did because all the gags were with the baby mostly. I remember him shooting
Gags
the
is
object.
a generous
over.
way to put it.
I mean, all the speedster tricks were with the babies. All the what the hell? Quicksilver stuff was with the babies.
Man, Quicksilver is so much cooler.
It helps to go first.
It helps to not be juggling terribly CGI'd babies.
Yeah, that's it. They could have gone for a cooler scene, but they went for a gag scene.
That's my exact point. There was plenty of things that could have been cool, and they went for jokes instead.
Yeah,
I want my lights.
that's this Flash gags.
Okay, the one actually funny part, intentionally so, funny part in this movie was the lasso of truth bit. Where Wonder Woman comes to save the day using her lasso, but a side effect of using the lasso is whoever has it on them has to has to speak the truth. And so she goes to Batman, "You're not gonna say thank you?" And he goes, I'm too proud to ever say thank you to anybody. And at first I was like, what the fuck is that line? And then it zooms out and you see the lasso and you're like, oh. And then he's like, I actually have severe trauma. It makes me the way that I am. And then the whole time, like, because, like, they kind of have, like, the voices muffled in the background after Ezra's line about being a virgin or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can hear them in the background keep talking. It's like, and the bad guy's like, I have severe trauma, too. And they're like, oh, yeah, it's kind of an issue. Like, that was funny. I will give them that. That was funny. Although, if you go according to, Batman lore here, he's like one of the only people that wasn't affected by the lasso of truth because he just refused to talk when it was put on him. So we're not really being, that's why I say, like, whenever we get these characters and put them in a Flash movie, we make them dumber, lamer versions of themselves. Or cheesier, maybe, is a nicer way to say it.
We need to get campy when we have the Flash.
Yeah.
All right? That's what the kids love.
Yeah,
You heard that one kid in the movie?
loved this
He
movie.
was freaking out. All right?
Especially
Are you going to
with
buy
that-
all the toys?
The dick joke? That kid loved the dick joke. It's like
I don't know if the parents love that joke. The kid loved it.
The kid was like, ah!
He said, "Dick."
Now, the actual funniest part of this movie, though, which was not, I don't believe, intentional, was... So, when they first start doing the time travel thing again, Batman has just died and Supergirl has just died.
Oh, yeah.
And how Batman dies is he's flying and he goes, I'm going after the big ship. And he goes after the big ship, which has a force field. None of the other ships have a force field for some reason. So he ends up crashing because he can't eject from his thing and he dies. Kind of like a lame attempt at a heroic moment. And I was like, that's a really lame way for him to go out. But actually, that's not the way he goes out because we go and travel back in time and he's still alive. So he goes, I'm going after the big one. And they go, no, Batman, don't. There's a shield. And he goes, okay.
He just calls it right up. Pulls up.
The editing of it was like a YouTube sketch comedy video. It was just like, okay. I can't like put into words how funny the timing of the editing was. Because I'm gonna get the big one. No, don't. Okay.
Right on.
I almost like got up, like jumped out of my seat and walked away. I was like, oh my god, that was so funny.
How else were we gonna save him for the moments?
Oh, okay. It's like this version of Batman has no brain. He's just on instinct, like, oh,
He's old.
Big ship, and then he's like, wait, it's got a force field, and like, oh, okay, I didn't think about that. Good idea.
Listen. He's old. Everyone around him is dead. He's been doing nothing for X number of years. It's his time to go. He knows it. He's ready. Valhalla awaits.
Also, I love how like they're trying to give the Flash his powers back, so they strap him for some reason. He has to be strapped in to this contraption that is going to spray him with these chemicals and strike him with electricity, which, by the way, specifically has to be a lightning bolt. They can't just fire up a generator for some reason.
No,
they have to pretend to be Benjamin Franklin.
It was lightning at first.
So they want to be exact, I guess.
Yes.
Sure. But you know what the difference is? The first time it was an actual lightning bolt. Maybe that's why it didn't work. Because they used the fucking Ben Franklin kite technique this time.
And
then she flew him up. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. It doesn't work. And he's just laying there and he goes, hit me again. I lost it because I was just so ready for them to keep shocking him.
Yeah, no, that's I'm pretty sure that's what happens in the comic too, but that's definitely what happens in the animated scene.
Is it?
Yeah. They go to give him his powers.
And it doesn't work?
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's Anakin.
I've heard it. Yo.
How long is the animated Flashpoint movie?
Hour and a half, I think.
So why do you think they couldn't have done this?
First off, most of it's caused by Reverse Flash, and you kind of have to set up the whole hatred of Reverse Flash. I mean, I'm pretty sure in the comics,
so
Reverse
they just
Flash,
shouldn't have tried it, is what you're saying.
I assume they shouldn't have tried it. I think they handled it the best they could have, because this is third movie material. Like, you have to set up the hatred for Reverse Flash, who he is, the fact that he kills his mother.
So there's a paradox in here because not Reverse Flash, whoever he is.
Yeah, they don't really name him, but he kind of
pushes Barry Allen, main Flash, out of his little time travel thing into the universe
to create himself.
To create him, which then creates him.
Yeah.
So there's a paradox, and they're talking about how this is a paradox. But then from that point on, they go back to the future logic, where if you kill this guy now, then his later self will disappear.
Yeah.
So therefore, he couldn't have pushed him out of the timeline because he never existed now.
Yeah, they kind of blended a bit of.
Oh, but no, this is the only time time travel makes sense. Everybody else get it wrong. This time it makes sense.
I love that they were just like, screw it. New time travel rules. Plus some old ones.
So dumb. The only way time travel makes any sense at all is the multiverse theory, which is it's not actually time travel. You're just going to alternate timelines that are out of alignment from yours. So that's the only way it makes sense. Really affect, that's the only way it actually could possibly ever make sense. And they just like, nah, this way though.
I appreciate a good dumb plot point.
Yeah, the writing in this movie sucked. It was a shame too, just how much they had to rush through, because there's, like I said, a lot of interesting, cool concepts that they just had to rush through. Like, because even with the second Barry Allen just being like OP immediately with his powers, granted, I don't think he was ever as good, maybe, as the original Barry Allen, but he just kept going like, oh, you're not ready to do that yet, and then he would just do it immediately. Like,
yeah, it was kind of loud.
He just did it immediately, and then it's like, oh, you can't run fast enough to time travel. Oh, yes, I can. It's like,
yeah, the phasing feels like an easier thing to pick up. I mean, I've seen a few other speedsters have to pick up phasing before, and it feels like easier than running fast enough to go back in time, which he just, as soon as he's like, why can't I? Boom! Also, I can do it.
Also, why don't we talk about the fact of how Barry Allen just does it Because he's bored one day.
He taunts him over his mother, and he goes back to change the past. Now, how it
did
happens
know
in the
about that,
comics,
but yeah, that
I
wasn't the
guess
first.
maybe that was a different way.
I could buy that as being a reason for him to time travel for the first time. He's like really emotional, and he's just, like I said, like just using all of his power to like release it because of his emotional state.
Yeah, that time it was definitely intentional.
And he was just like, nah, I'm upset, and I was like, I just didn't buy it.
I think that's somewhat of how it happened in the TV show. TV show, maybe?
COVID.
Of course. 6 feet.
COVID-19. I didn't like it. I didn't like this movie. That's when you say, I did. And then we can say, up to you to decide, audience.
Up to you to decide.
Faithful listeners.
We didn't talk about Supergirl at all.
There's nothing to say. And I know that she's probably going to be like a point of contention because people are going to be like, I hated her. And other people will be like, it's just because you're sexist.
I mean, she was just fine, but I
yeah.
expected her to go somewhere.
She was just a non-factor, really.
And she got killed.
She was just there to, get
She was
killed
there.
repeatedly.
No. She was there to, like, I kind of don't blame this Flash, because, like, if, like, just thinking about his world, like, his world.
He's the only superhero now.
Yeah, if Superman or Supergirl doesn't defeat Zod at that time, then Zod terraforms the world.
Yeah.
Because they failed.
Yeah.
And then he just went back and was like, oh, sorry, man. Your world is fucked.
Well,
but my mom's just dead.
No, because now, by going back, now he never becomes the Flash. Which then, because remember, changes change the past too. So Zod, in this version, would no longer come to Earth.
Well, I guess we
For whatever fucking reason.
No. Zod would still come to Earth.
Because of the can of tomatoes.
No. Zod would still come to Earth, but then we'd also have Superman on Earth in the regular timeline if everything's back to normal, I get. Hopefully. Because this was originally...
It doesn't specify. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't think about that.
Well, that's the thing. People originally thought when they heard that Henry Cavill wasn't coming back and that the Batman movies were ending and they were going to do a whole new Batman thing, that this was going to be the movie where they changed into the new roles.
Right.
And then it got delayed for forever.
Yeah,
and
but regardless, the universe isn't fucked. Whether it's because Superman's actually there or because Zod doesn't come at all.
Yeah.
That's Barry Allen's universe is going to be fine now except for, I don't know, the can of tomatoes. Now maybe their universe is fucked again because Barry Allen is a selfish motherfucker who only cares about himself.
It might be fucked in only small ways. Because every time he goes back after the Flashpoints, there's always something that's changed, I think.
Yeah, because you can't time travel and not change anything.
I think the first time they used it for a huge retcon in the live-action... In the live-action TV show, I think they just changed a couple of minor characters around. I think got rid of somebody to put stakes. So, I mean, we see the Batman change. We don't know if there's any other changes to this world besides it seems fairly normal. It'd
be hilarious if the DCU went forward with George Clooney as the Batman.
It would be incredible. I would love that.
Every time he gets suited up, we get a close-up of his butt.
I'm assuming the post-credit scene is after the whole ordeal, so...
I don't know when that happened. I was confused by that.
If it's after, then Aquaman is fine. Or his voice has changed as a point. Yes, please, that's it. His voice was changed from the Flashpoints. We figured it out.
Wow.
That's just his voice from now on. And Aquaman 2.
What happened? Why was his voice different? Why was Ben Affleck's voice different too?
That was so much less noticeable than the Aquaman voice, though.
It was.
Oh my gosh, Jason Momoa did not sound like himself at all. Unless that was just like him trying to be drunk or some sort of audio. I mean, it was if it was an audio mess up, that was a seriously isolated mess up.
Yeah, you've been talking a while.
I'm not an expert. I clearly probably screwed up a bunch of stuff. But I know I know a general amount about the Flash, and I've seen a few Flashpoint versions. This is like my fourth take on Flashpoint at this point. And I thought this was a solid one for not being able to, definitely not going to be able to have the war with Wonder Woman and Aquaman. That's just way too crazy.
Well, you're giving it so much benefit by saying you're adding caveats to it. Take away the caveats, it's a shitty movie. It's okay to say that.
Yeah, but like I'm comparing it to the DCEU.
Fair.
I think they're all shitty movies,
That's fair.
except for like parts of Aquaman and Wonder Woman.
You can't say Man of Steel is a shitty movie. It's not a great movie at all, but it's fine.
Okay, then maybe I have it third or fourth in my ranking of not great films. I'm not stacking these against other cinema.
Yeah.
I'm not even stacking these against Marvel films. I'm stacking these
No.
against DCEU films.
Yeah, specifically. And they're not good, typically.
And this is a top 4, probably top 3 for me if I rewatch Aquaman.
I don't
And
know.
maybe
I didn't
Man
like
of
Aquaman.
Steel.
The callbacks in this movie were so bad. You want to get nuts?
Oh god, yeah.
Then let's get nuts. I was like, what? That line? You're using that line as like, yeah, I'm Batman. It's just like, it was like, I'm not trying to say.
How else would you know he's Batman?
The Spider-Man was.
He didn't
like
get to
a
say
great-
that.
Like Spider-Man wasn't a great movie, but like they did the fan service well.
No, fan service was much better.
The fan service in this was garbage, and like I'm nostalgic for the Tim Burton, Michael Keaton Batman movies. I enjoy them. I felt nothing.
I was happy he got the appearance.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, it made me want another movie with him.
Yeah.
But as far as the fan service, I was like, this is garbage.
I mean, it was just fine to know he was in the film. That was the extent of, and that he was being Batman.
Yeah. Can we talk about how unfunny the first scene was with him at the coffee shop?
Oh,
That was painfully unfunny.
Oh, I couldn't wait for that to be done.
I was like, that first 15 minutes may have been the worst 15 minutes I've ever seen in any superhero movie ever. It was so bad. And we were just like, what if it's good, though? And then we turned to look at the screen and that scene happened. I was like, what if it's the worst movie I've ever seen? Holy hell.
Because it was that into the babies.
Yeah.
Into back, and there was at least a little bit of Ben Affleck Batman action in there, and him over explosions and
Killing innocent people.
Listen. He didn't kill any evil people. All right, that's a step up. All right?
I don't know. He threw some people out of cars.
They are fine. They tucked and rolled, or they were made to tuck and roll. It's all good.
Oh man, this movie was bad.
But it's the DCU.
It just was. I think we're finally done. I don't know.
What does this got a rating of right now?
It didn't have one when I checked. It usually takes a day or two.
And we got
It
this
has a 60 something on Metacritic.
56.
Oh, it went down. It was 60 when we walked in. Okay, bye.